Hey everybody, welcome to a Bluer Nation, a much Bluer Nation. My name is Jerry Foley. I'm the senior editor of the Giant Insider newspaper. And with me as always, and probably gloating, is Chris Bisignano, the beat writer for the Giant Insider. So as you guys know, we do the weekly picks on our second podcast of the week. And Chris, I was up 2 and now Chris is up 2. So he gained basically 4 games on me. But the most important game he gained was the Giants win over the Houston Texans, which, listen, I'm as big a Giant fan as anybody, but I didn't see that one coming. So, Chris, between the Giants, between the Red Sox and Notre Dame, it's your week, buddy. Go ahead, gloat all you want. Go have at it, pal.
I think you owe me an apology, Mr. Foley. Did I not tell you that our team was going to play well this week? And did I not tell you they were going to upset them? Just let's get that straight right now.
You did.
I'm only kidding, bud. Yeah, it was a great week. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, look. That game kind of played out as basically how we wanted it to on offense, right? I mean, look, the word came in Sunday morning or Saturday night, really, that Eric Flowers is going to be, benched basically for Chad Wheeler. And look, the upgrade from Flowers to Wheeler from a talent standpoint, is it that great? Probably not. I mean, Chad Wheeler gave up 3 sacks, but he gave up 3 sacks to maybe one of the best defensive players in football. But I think it was more of a psyche thing with the Giants. I think taking out a guy who, I don't want to say had a bad attitude, but look, after the game was over, he was the first one out of the locker room yesterday. Didn't want to talk to any reporters. And look, and in his defense, he probably didn't want to say anything about the fact that he didn't play and kind of discuss that. But you would have to think that putting Chad Wheeler in just kind of helped the psyche of the offense, and that albatross kind of hanging over them wasn't there anymore. I mean, what do you think, bud?
I tell you what, Joey, you know what I really think it helped the most? Communication.
Yeah.
Communication-wise. Watching the game again today, it seemed like Wheeler and Patrick Omameh were on the same page, where the last few games, Omameh and Flowers weren't. Listen, it's not like Wheeler played this real good game. I thought he was much better than Flowers in the run blocking aspect.
Yeah, right.
Pass blocking, not really. I mean, he gave up 3 sacks. He gave up a few pressures, too, and Watt almost got there. So it wasn't like it was a big difference pass blocking, but the difference I saw, Jerry, watching the game, again, was communication-wise, where they had a lot of issues the first few weeks with Flowers and Omameh. I didn't really see that, except for one play, and it was Wheeler and Ellison, not even with Omameh. So I think that might have been the biggest difference, Jerry, that I saw.
Yeah, Omameh played so much better than the week before, and I was ranting and raving last week that Omameh and Flowers were worse than Jerry and Bobby Hart. Then you put in Chad Wheeler, all of a sudden Omameh looks more than functional, rather. And Wheeler did okay. He wasn't great, but like you said, he helped out in the run game, and he was better than Flowers, which, notice that we started off talking about the offensive line. I didn't start off talking about Eli Manning, because I think we're both under the impression, or belief rather, that Eli Manning is still a good quarterback when you give him time. Right? That wasn't a surprise to me that he was 25 of 29 for 297 and 2 touchdowns, and I'm not Googling it. I memorized it because I wanted to throw it in WFAN's face and all the haters' faces. I mean,
Eli, Rain Man.
Right. Well, yeah. Eli Manning is still a very good quarterback, and that's the kind of performance I'm kind of expecting from him in this offense. And this is what I saw in the Jets preseason game, where Manning was rolling out. He had time to throw. He was firing. He hasn't lost anything off his fastball, nothing off the deep ball. His throw to, I think it was to Shepard, where he just dropped it in, was absolutely perfect yesterday. The pass to Red Ellison up the seam, that's one I saw in practice that I thought, man, they got to use this during the season. I don't know. I mean, we're both Eli apologists to a fault. And he's 37, and sooner or later it's going to be time's up. But Chris, I just think he's got a lot of football left, man. I thought yesterday kind of proved that.
Well, Jerry, I've talked about that a lot over the summer. People asking on Twitter, do you think Eli has a couple of years left? And I always responded, yes. I saw the guy every day, Jerry. The way he throws the ball and everything like that. I didn't see his skills decline that much. I thought the big difference this week was Pat Shurmur. Jerry, I thought his game plan was much, much better than the last 2 weeks. I thought Eli and Sterling Shepard were on the same page. as far as Shepard reading the defenses and getting some hot routes, getting a quick hit when he needed it, where I felt in the Dallas game it wasn't there. I'm watching the Dallas game over and over, and I see the guys running verticals. I see the guys running the original routes, and nobody helping Eli out when the guy was under siege, Jerry.
Right.
I felt Shermer bootlegged a few times with Eli, got him out of the pocket. I felt Shermer stuck with the run game a little bit in the first half with Saquon.
And I don't hate to admit it. I love to admit it. You called that. You said that the Giants were going to stick to the run and they would have success there. And early on, Barkley took I thought Jamal Jackson, we saw this yesterday. I thought he was throwing some cheap shots in, going at people's knees. And I mean, Ingram's out 4 to 6 weeks probably with a sprained MCL. But he hit Barkley early, but they rebounded from it. And the Giants had some success running the ball in the first half. You called it, bud.
Yeah, Jerry, I put it on Twitter earlier yesterday. I thought Kareem Jackson was getting a little stupid with his hits. I understand it's a legal hit, like Pat Shermer said today. It's a legal hit. But there's also an etiquette in football, Jerry.
Yeah.
When a guy likes on a sideline like Ingram was yesterday, there is no reason to be taking him out at the knee level. None whatsoever. I thought that was a cheap shot.
Yeah.
By Kareem Jackson. I know it's legal.
Yeah.
And I know he's going to use the excuse of, well, you know what? We can't hit people high anymore, so that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it comes off that comes off spiteful, though, right? I mean, that attitude. If guys have that attitude, then they're just being spiteful, and they don't care about other players' safety. They just want to go at their knees and say, "Well, I didn't go at their heads," and then they take out ACLs and MCLs. So you're right. I do think some players think that way, and I think it's terrible. I think when they do something like that, they undermine the argument of taking care of each other and caring about player safety. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Go ahead, bud.
Hey, Jerry, you saw me put it on Twitter yesterday. Kareem Jackson's going to hurt somebody today. And guess what? He hurt our tight end, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't like that hit. A few other ones I thought were a little low, but they're clean. I understand that. I did not think the Ingram, although legal, I thought that was a cheap shot by Kareem Jackson. I didn't think that was necessary at all.
It's going to be interesting to see Red Ellison getting a bigger role now in the passing game with Ingram out for a while. Again, it's preliminary. They say it's week to week, but it's probably 4 to 6 weeks. Yesterday, Manning hit him on the seam. He hit him with a couple other passes. I like Red Ellison as a receiver. He flashed last year, but never got a chance to play. I'm not saying it's not a step down because Ingram's a ridiculous athlete, but I think Red Ellison will play within himself, catches everything thrown his way, and Eli's kind of comfortable with that type of tight end, like a Kevin Boss type. Maybe not the best athlete, but a very good route runner who can just catch everything thrown his way. And reminds me of kind of like a Jake Ballard who flashed for 1 year before unfortunately tearing his ACL, but just reminds me of that kind of player.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, Jerry. It reminds me of that Jake Ballard, who really came up big for us years ago. You're right, bud. Eli seems to like that little guy, that runs those seam routes. He's a guy that's reliable. And running the route that Eli knows, anticipates. Listen, Eli's always been a good seam route thrower, and he's always been effective with tight ends like that. So obviously it's a drop off from Ingram athletic wise, but you know what? Ellison looked pretty good in training camp catching balls. I expected him to be a little bit, be a part of the game plans during the season as far as receiving wise, and we saw it yesterday and expect more of it now, with Ingram out.
It seems like we're talking about it every week, but you know what? I'll never get tired of talking about this guy. I don't care what anyone says. Saquon Barkley was such the right pick for this team. He is a game changer. He's a ridiculous athlete. He's getting better and better. I mean, the pass down the sideline, you've been talking about it for seemingly months that they've run that play in practice. Why are they not running it in games? I think Eli actually underthrew that ball a bit. And for that kid to shield his body the way he did and come down with it, I mean, he is such a weapon for them and the maturity he has. And one of the things I thought was funny in that game when he scored his touchdown, he's kind of like Barry Sanders. He's not quite flipping it to the ref, but he just doesn't really celebrate. Odell tried to get him to dance, and he wouldn't. And Odell just hit him in the head like, "Oh, you nerd, you!" Like, I kind of like that, And listen, again, another guy. Like, we'll get to it, but Odell, what a great game he had. But I don't know, man. It's a redundant question to ask you about it all the time. But the aspect of just game changing ability that Barkley brings to the table. I mean, I know we're 3 games in, but I love this guy. I love this pick for the Giants, man.
Yeah, how could you not, Jerry? Right there, he's like the equivalent of what? I guess you're a Yankee fan, like Aaron Judge, right? Every time he steps in the box, you think Judge is going to hit one.
Look at you throwing me a Yankee bone, you Red Sox fan.
Well,
you.
considering the Red Sox clinched in Yankee Stadium, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
So I'll
he's
throw
like
you
he's like
bone.
he's like a Mookie Betts. There you
go. He's just Saquon has that home run hitter feel to him. Every time he touches the ball, you think he's going to do something special. And you know what, Jerry? It's funny, man. I saw Coach Shermer work on that play. I mean, so many times in training camp where Saquon lines up as a receiver. It'd be curious to see who lines up against him. Yesterday, it happened to be Zach Cunningham, a linebacker who's pretty quick in his own right.
Yeah.
But Saquon's got great hands, Jerry. I'm not going to say it again. I've said it numerous times how I feel about his hands.
Yeah.
But you're right, Eli underthrew him a little bit, and he came back like a polished receiver, right,
yeah.
Jerry? The way he came back.
Yeah, he really shielded the defender when he jumped. That was amazing.
Jerry, he's such a student of the game, Barkley. Yeah. He just doesn't show up, go to practice, and go home. He studies old-time plays. He studies current plays. He studies the way guys do things on the field, Jerry. He's just a student of the game, and he's so impressive. He's just so nice to watch, bud.
Yeah. And look, I kind of touched on it before, but the receivers, both, I mean, really, three of them, really. I mean, well, we talked about Ellison already, but Odell had a ridiculous game. Shepard had a great game, and I thought Cody Latimer had a couple good catches, and the one where he bobbled and stayed with it. This is kind of what we expected from Latimer, like maybe 2-3 catches a game, kind of move the chains, or I'm going to move the chains, but maybe even give you a big play like he did in Dallas down the sidelines, but Odell is freakishly...
And they tried it yesterday, too.
Yeah.
They did a little go-round with him yesterday, too. They tried it, but it didn't connect.
And Odell is just so freakishly good, and no one can stay with him. You've said it. I've said it. One-on-one, especially with that crossing route, that little crossing route. It's like, I don't care what corner. I don't care. I'll say it. I don't care if Deion Sanders was playing. No one can stay with Odell one-on-one. Shepard finally had the game that we kind of thought. I think, Shepard gets 80 yards and a touchdown, like that's exactly what you want from him, that area. But this set of receivers, it was finally good to see them kind of step forward as a group and have the game that we've all been expecting.
Yeah, Jerry, remember that one play yesterday with Odell when he was lined up in a slot? Oh my God! I mean, that's just criminal. There's no chance of covering him in the slot.
Because a lot of times he's going against the team's third corner.
Yeah, Sherman. Listen, Jerry, Sherman did things yesterday that he's been working on. He just like Odell in a slot, Shep, and all kinds of things. Yeah, go Ellison involved, Cody Latimer involved. Sometimes, Jerry, it's just the way things work in this league. It takes a few games to get the game plan and what your philosophy is rolling. And we saw that yesterday with Sherman. I thought he called a heck of a game yesterday, Jerry. The only one thing I questioned was that 3rd and 11. I think in the second half he had a little bit of a draw play going on. He kind of threw the towel in on that series. I was a little surprised with that. But other than that, man, I criticized Sherman for what his game plan was against Dallas in his play calling, and I'm praising him this week, Jerry, because it was a heck of a game he called.
I would even say against Dallas, and I was on another radio show, and the guy was killing Sherman, and I said, well, it's kind of hard in Dallas when your quarterback is under siege so much. I mean, I just felt like every time he dropped back, he was getting hit. And I get what you're saying. Shermer's game plan in Dallas.
Yeah, a lot of the times.
But it
was
just
a lot of times.
Yeah, it was just he was sacked 6 times, pressured about 10 more, and I just felt like, I mean, what you could have had had Newt Rockney calling plays, and I don't think it would have mattered. There you go, Notre Dame reference for you.
Well, yeah, Jerry. Yeah, no, I like that, Jerry. Just my problem I had with Sherman last week is that it was a close game. Still, it was halftime, and I just felt he got away from the run game a little too early, and which he basically admitted he didn't like the balance of the play call. That was my issue with him last week, but listen, that's in the past. It was a heck of a game yesterday offensively. Almost got to the 30 number, but you know what? New Orleans is coming this week, and they'll have a shot at that 30 number this week, Jerry.
Yeah, that defense is brutal. Chris, on special teams, do we teach our punt returners to kneel when we catch the ball? I'm just curious.
Oh God, Jerry. I don't know what the heck is going on First with Clay, and now this Coley. Coley, was it Coley? I always say his name. Oh my God, I don't know what that's about, but I really don't. But that was ugly yesterday. And then then he had him returning a kickoff, and he went east-west one time, wound up on a 10-yard line. I don't know, Jerry.
Yeah, and I actually rewound that play because I thought, what did he take it out of the end zone? But I think he caught it on the 1, and he got to the 9. That's inexcusable. You know, you catch it on the 1, you got to get to the 20 at least, and we just can't seem to get any consistency in the punt return game, especially. And Latimer's okay on kick returns. He just kind of runs straight and goes down. That's fine. I'll take it. I don't want the east-west guy on the kick returns. But for whatever reason, not to pick on anybody, but we have guys now who return punts who seem to kneel and try and catch it. And I just remember a guy like Parcells who was so good at teaching special teams and how to catch, and he taught Meggett and he taught Dedrick Ward in with the Jets. A guy like that just has to shake his head and just, because they're ignoring fundamentals on punt returns. It's just very odd to me.
Yeah. It's very strange, Jerry, because I didn't see that once during any practice this camp.
Right.
Now, one guy dropped to his knees when he caught a punt, and all of a sudden the season starts, and you got guys doing that, muffin punts, and who's fumbling a punt, and oh my God.
And also, I should say also they're newer guys. You saw Hunter Sharp and Raymond do it.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not trying to constantly Monday morning quarterback every week, but those two cuts were a little puzzling for what they brought in. It's not like they brought in Devin Hester or someone spectacular. They're bringing in guys that I've never heard of who don't seem to be able to catch the ball. But whatever. Look, happy thoughts only. We've covered the offense. We've destroyed special teams. Defensively, I mean, you had good timing with your article this week. The win-win.
Yeah.
Kerry Wynn, I think he had 5 tackles, a forced fumble, a batted ball, a pressure, a knockdown. I mean, it looked like
special teams and a special teams tackle.
Right. I mean, he looked ridiculous yesterday. Talk about staking your claim to a starting spot. And it's not like Dalvin Tomlinson and B.J. Hill are bad. They're good. But Kerry Wynn needs to see the field more, man. He was awesome yesterday.
Well, you and Betcha must be talking to each other somewhere because in the last 2 games, Wynn has been starting, and he's gotten a lot of snaps. And you know what, Jerry? You see what he's doing out there, man. From preseason on, man, this guy's been a force. He's actually, Kerry Wynn was always the guy. You put him in there. Okay, I'll get a pressure here and there. He's pretty decent against the run, the whole deal. But you know what, Jerry? His game right now, he's actually a force out there. I mean, that game yesterday, he was active, man. I mean, he was forced fumbles and tackles and special teams and pressures and the whole deal. He was a guy to be reckoned with yesterday, and by far Wynn's best game as a Giant, Jerry, by far. Not even close.
And we were kind of looking for that guy who's going to step forward and be that pass rusher because I think we said it last week, like Olivier Vernon is probably coming back soon, but it's not like it's Lawrence Taylor coming back. And for Wynn to have that kind of game, if he can play at that level and Vernon come back and play at the level that he's capable of, I think they can have a decent pass rush without having to send everybody. But Ogletree yesterday, again, we said it last week, he started to kind of come around, and he had 6 tackles against Dallas. He was pretty active. Yesterday, he kind of had the same kind of game where he was active, and then he had the nice interception. And it was refreshing to see because in training and preseason, he was burned a couple times, and it was great to see him come down with the ball, and he's kind of taking on a leadership role in this defense, it seems.
Yeah, that was a heck of a play by Ogletree yesterday. It shows you, he showed his athleticism yesterday, boy, going up and getting that ball and bringing it down. Yeah, listen, I put it on Twitter today. He did miss a few tackles yesterday.
Yeah.
On Ogletree, because he's usually a pretty short tackle, but he did miss a few yesterday, and he played well in other areas. And obviously, the interception was a big part of the game, right? I mean, they were moving the ball. So yeah, listen, he's playing well. I thought Goodson was pretty decent too, and I thought Kareem Martin was real active.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a guy I picked on last week because of him getting faked out on the option zone or read zone or whatever the hell it's called, the annoying play that we can't defend and everybody else runs. But yesterday I thought he had a good game, and I can't talk about Lorenzo Carter enough. My kid's got to play more and more and more. He's going to get better and better. It was a real find in the 3rd round, and it's nice to have a very active linebacker finally.
Yeah. He actually got credit with his sack yesterday. I made a mistake. I thought when he tackled Watson yesterday, I thought it was a no gain. I didn't think they gave him a sack.
Oh, I mean,
but he actually was credit with his sack yesterday.
Oh, good for him. That's his first then.
Yeah, him and B.J. Hill, which is, hey, nice reflection of the draft class, huh? B.J. Hill steamrolled the left tackle yesterday for that one sack, and Carter had the sack and a few pressures. You know, the kid's getting closer and closer every week, Jerry, right? It seems like he gets closer and closer. Had one yesterday, and, I look for him to wind up like 5 to 7 this year. I really do. The kid's coming on big time, man.
Yeah, and again, we talk about it all the time, but the curse of the third round may have finally been broken, and it might have been broken nicely with two guys because they were both taken in the third round, and our third-round picks have been abysmal. But, again, just happy thoughts today, man. B.J. Hill and Carter are definitely guys on the rise, and I'm glad that Gettleman found them. Dalvin Tomlinson, I thought kind of a quiet game, but again, these guys are good against the run. Like Tomlinson, Snacks, Hill.
Yeah.
I think the Giants give up what, like 59 yards rushing yesterday.
Yeah. And against a team that ran the ball pretty well the first few games, you know. And they had 2 sacks, Jerry, and I thought wasn't for Deshaun Watson, he probably would have had about 3 more. I mean, Deshaun Watson, you know, he's so athletic in that pocket. He gets out. You know, he gets out from the pressure with his feet and everything. So a lot of good. Listen, that's not the best offensive line, but it was still a positive sign to get a few sacks and numerous pressures. You know, Jerry.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a step in the right direction because the first 2 games it didn't seem like they sniffed the quarterback too much. They had 1 sack against Jacksonville, but it didn't seem like they got very close to Dak Prescott at all. And hey, yesterday was a good day, man. I mean, the only thing that kind of was a downer was the Eagles winning and the Redskins winning. But when you see the Giants win and Dallas lose, and Dallas look as bad as they should look. It seems like they only beat us. It's not a bad day overall. As far as the secondary goes, Jenkins still not really where I thought he'd be. B.W. Webb, B.W. Webb had an okay game, but I didn't think they hurt us. There were some bigger gains, but for the most part, they did a good job on those guys. I thought. I mean, look, the second half. If you want to criticize anything in the second half, I thought they took their foot off the gas a bit, but And overall, the secondary did pretty well against a very good receiving core that I was really concerned with.
Yeah, you know what? I had Jenkins getting beat 4 times in man coverage, but I tell you what, he kept Hopkins out of the end zone. They went after him a few times in the end zone. He did a good job on Hopkins there because Hopkins, you know, he's a touchdown guy, man. He gets in the end zone, you know. So he did a heck of a job there, Jack Rabbit. And you know what? B.W. Webb, I had him getting beat twice only on man coverage. And the one Fuller touchdown was just a little zone the Giants were playing underneath. He did a little cross route that Ogletree, you know, had to pick him up, and that's a mismatch, you know. So, and Watson found him. So I thought, listen, I think everybody was concerned about B.W. Webb, and you know what, Jerry, he held his own. Yeah. The guy held his own, man. So credit to him. I thought Mike Thomas played well. You know,
yeah, you know that was interesting yesterday. They had him in the slot a lot. I thought they were playing 3. I thought they were playing 3 safeties, and then you pointed out, you're like, no, he's in the slot, which I didn't see that much early on. I mean, did you see that in practice at all? Him playing the slot?
No, that was a better adjustment. They actually went with 3 linebackers.
Yeah,
and Thomas in the slot. That's what they went with. Yes, in the base defense, it was Wynn starting, 3 linebackers, and Mike Thomas on the field.
You know, they got to get Thomas on the field, whether it's safety or somewhere. He just seems to make plays, man. He's a good special teams player. Listen, nothing against Curtis Riley, but I wouldn't mind if they started Thomas at safety. They just got to get that guy on the field. He just seems to be around the ball, seems to be around making tackles and the ball around the ball carriers. He's very good for this defense. He was a really good pickup for them.
Yeah, he's. Hey, listen, Jerry. He was on the field yesterday a lot, man. He played. He got some snaps in yesterday. I guess Betcha agrees with you, Bud, because he got him on the field. And you know what? You know another kid is always around the ball is that Dante Dion.
Yeah,
right. He's always around the ball. He almost had a pick in Dallas last week.
Yeah,
he had the fumble recovery yesterday. You know, for a little guy, man, he's always has his nose in there. I give the kid credit, man, because he is a small old dude. Yeah,
there's something about a guy who's like 5'7", 150, who's been told his whole life probably been told his whole life he can't do it. And you got to love the chip he has on his shoulder. I mean, physically, he has no business being back there. I mean, he's just a small guy, but he plays so hard. Like you said, he's always around the ball. He almost had a pick covering Cole Beasley last week, which we both kind of called the week before. Like, put him on Cole Beasley. and definitely happy that he's on this team as well. And it's funny, man. I was worried about this secondary, and look, Eli Apple's hurt, but these other guys are stepping up, and it seems like right now cornerback is okay. They're not struggling nearly as much as I thought they would. And with Apple, I don't know if he's week to week or what, but not that they're deep, but they're definitely better than I thought they'd be so far.
Yeah, listen, it was the first game, without Apple, and they stepped up yesterday against two pretty good receivers. Now, of course, it's going to be a whole other animal this week because the Saints' offensive line is much better than Houston's. And, of course, Mr. Breeze is coming in, so it's going to be a good test for them this week. They have one of the best receivers in football, New Orleans, and they're probably going to give, Breeze a lot more time than Watson had yesterday, so we'll see. Well, hopefully Eli Apple is able to come back. He was running around today a little bit with Olivier.
Good.
But, I got to be honest with you, Jerry, I'll be surprised if he does play this week, but we'll see. We'll see if he's a quick hitter. We'll see how it goes.
Well, hopefully there's some wind Sunday, because it's a
right now it's supposed to be 70 and sunny, buddy. Well, I know where you're going.
It's a 425. Yeah, listen, it's a 425 game. And my God, Drew Brees, if it's not 71 degrees in a dome with no humidity and no wind, he's half the quarterback he is outside. I'll say it. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I'm stupid or whatever. He's not the same guy he is in the dome. He's completely different.
Yeah, he's much better inside. Yeah, no question. And right now, the early forecast is like 70 and sunny and, nice. So that's not going to help us out. You kind of want like a nice windy day, rainy or something with Breeze. It's something he's not used to.
Yeah, like a day like today would be perfect for Drew Brees, like to come into the Meadowlands and, not be able to throw the deep ball or be accurate. And, Eli just say, yeah, you know what, this is my house. I know these winds like Phil Simms did and, kind of take over. But Landon Collins. I thought he had a better game yesterday, and I always said he seemed like he was not a step slow, but a step slow to the play. Like he's not losing a step in his ability, but he's not reading things quickly. I thought yesterday he had a better game than he did the first two.
Yeah, I thought Landon was pretty good yesterday. He's just not making those impact plays,
Right.
But it's only 3 games in. Don't get me wrong, it's only 3 games in. But like you said, Joe, I thought he played better yesterday too. I just like to see, I think he wound up with 5 tackles again yesterday, right?
Yeah.
To me, he should be a 8 to 10, 11 tackle guy every game, and he's not getting that production right now. So hopefully he kicks that up because we need him in that. We need him making plays, roaming around the box and doing his thing, and we need him to make some impact plays, a couple of big hits, forced fumble, something like that. And it just hasn't been there yet with Landon, but it's only 3 games. A lot of football left. One
of the things, we were killing the punt returner before and the kick returns and how much of a non-factor they are. Rosas and Dixon are kicking well, and it's nice to see the kicking game doing much better, and you forget what a weapon that can be. And I think Rosas is a perfect 6 for 6 so far on field goals. He had a couple shorter kickoffs yesterday, but then he was blasting a few. It's just nice to not see Brad Wing back there hitting 35-yarders on most punts. Yeah. It's just it's not Landetta, and it's not I'm trying to think of the best Giants kicker.
Eagles.
It's not
Eagles or something like that. Yeah.
I'm thinking kicker. It's not
Weatherford, Eagles.
Tynes or I don't know, the last really
kickers.
Great kicker that we had on this team. Yeah. But Rosas looks good. I mean, he could be a weapon. I mean, it seems like he's getting better, and he always had the potential with his leg, and he's a strong kid. And it seems like he's starting to put that together, and it's just nice to have that finally and have that weapon on special teams. Yeah,
I tell you what, Jerry, I'm with you, man. Last year I didn't feel very confident in him when he lined up for a field goal. This year, I look at it the first 3 games, and I'm not even worried about it. It seems like okay, Rosas is going to make this.
Yeah, he lined up yesterday. I said, all right, we got 3.
Right. I mean, that's a confident feeling, right, Jerry? I mean, last year we really didn't have that, man.
Yeah, last year extra points. I'm like, oh man, this is so. Yeah. This is not definite.
He's booming the ball through the end zone on most kickoffs. I hate to even say. Jerry, I hate to say, why was a few of them, a little short yesterday? Because I'm not sure if that's what Sherman was.
Exactly.
I hate to even say that.
That's right. A lot of times
Yeah,
they're
because
instructed to do that. They're instructed to kick it high and see if they can get the guy before the 25-yard line. So you're right. They may be doing that.
Yeah, so I hate to even come down on him. I'm not sure if McGahee and Sherman, that was their plan of a few coming up a little short, trying to get up short to the 5-yard line, whatever. So I can't even say anything about that because it seems like he booms the ball to the end zone now when he wants to, right? I mean, it seems like, as far as Dixon goes, I mean, I said it before, Jerry. I think Gettleman stole him for a 7th-round pick. I mean, this guy's placing the ball well too, man. He's been pretty impressive, Jerry. From the first moment I've seen him until now, I mean, this guy. It's nice. The special teams is an improvement, Jerry. No question about it from the previous years.
You bring up a good point in that Gettleman stole him. If you look at the moves, look, Gettleman's been blasted for Jonathan Stewart, and he was blasted for Omame, right? But Nate Solder had his best game yesterday. He stole Dixon for a 7th-rounder. I think he stole Ogletree for a 3rd. I think his draft was incredible. And you know what? I was so happy when they won that Shermer gave him the game ball. Not for that stuff, but for the fighting his ass off against cancer. And it was just a great gesture. And it's just, not to get too corny, but this is why we root, right? This is why you're a Giants fan, because of that kind of class.
No doubt.
And it was awesome.
No
It was great. Shermer did the right thing. They got the win, gave it to the guy who kind of brought all of them together. But you bring up a good point because Dixon's a guy that kind of flies under the radar. You forget that it wasn't a draft pick, wasn't a free agent. He was gotten for a 7th-round pick. And those are the kind of moves, I'm not trying to overstate it, but those are the kind of moves that really build winning teams when you can pull that kind of heist off.
Yeah, Jerry, Pat Shermer's a class act, man. I thought that was great what he did yesterday, and being around Shermer all the time, that's his personality. It wasn't an act, to make him, to make it seem like he's, oh, look what I'm doing, everybody. I mean, that's Pat Shermer right there, And for Gettleman, I'm just happy for him. I saw him last week at the complex, Jerry Gettleman, big smile on his face, tapped hands with me. I said,
and by the way, you could say it. He said, "Hi, Chris," didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't going to go there.
No, you can. Go ahead. Admit it, man. You're making your way around that locker room.
Gettleman was like, "Hey, Chris, this and that." I told him he looked good. His hair's coming back now. Nice. And the guy's just a fighter. Smiling, like I said, smiling on his face. He's greeting all the media as they were leaving, as we're walking back into the complex. And happy for him. His first draft class as the Giants general manager, I would say he's going pretty good, bud. What do you think? I mean, we got guys on the field making plays.
Oh, I mean,
okay, that's something that Jerry Reese.
Oh, forget it, dude. Barkley and Hernandez alone. If he struck out with the rest of them, I would say this is a great draft class. But so far, Barkley, Hernandez, B.J. Hill, Lorenzo Carter. And Lauletta, of course, isn't going to play. Hopefully, just if he does, then we're in trouble.
And I tell you what, Jerry. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry I interrupted you. This R.J. McIntosh. I'm curious to see him next year because I hear a lot of things about him too. But he had that illness this year. He couldn't get on the field. But watch for him next year too, man, because you hear a lot of things about this kid too, Jerry.
Yeah, I think Gettleman's. I stand by it. I think he's done a tremendous job, and unfortunately, the Stewart move was kind of puzzling, and that kind of overshadows some of the other things he did, and it shouldn't. He's done a tremendous job overall, and definitely glad that he took over the reins and that the Giants decided to bring him in. But I think we'll stop there. I'm not going to give you much more chance to gloat, but I think you definitely had 4 games better. I mean, the NFL yesterday was just like, I may as well just flip a coin now. Cause I mean, some of those games, who the hell saw Buffalo beating the hell out of Minnesota? I mean, I even played Kirk Cousins for fantasy. I sat Cam Newton like a moron, and Kirk Cousins was terrible. The NFL is just a coin flip now.
Jerry, Kirk Cousins had 40 completions yesterday, and he didn't hit 300 yards. How is that possible? How many checkdowns did Cousins throw yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, we killed Eli for checking down in Dallas. I don't understand how many checkdowns that can possibly be, but...
I mean, yeah, it was crazy yesterday. A lot of crazy games, man. A lot of crazy. But that's the league. That's the league. If you don't come to play every Sunday, you're going to get beat in this league, man.
All right, buddy. This was our first Monday. I thought it was a success, and we captured the emotion of yesterday and the happiness, and I'm sure if and when the Giants lose again, we'll capture the sorrow. But All right, everybody, be sure to order your copy of the Giant Insider newspaper. Go to www.giantinsider.com or visit magster.com for a digital subscription. That's magzter.com. Yearly subscriptions are $39.95 for paper copies, and the digital version is only $17 for a yearly subscription. It's 14 issues as we're bi-weekly during the season and monthly in the off-season. Our next podcast will be Friday on the 28th at 8 o'clock. And the millennials, my daughter said, I have to say, take a peek at our podcast. I guess that means listen to it. I really don't know.
That's millennial talk.
But anyway, guys, thanks for listening to A Blue Nation. I'm Jerry Foley. He's Chris Bisignano. And remember, Sundays are Giant days once again. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.